What a child he is. Everyone around him treats him like he's 3 years old. He is 3 years old. He needs a lot of attention, so they let him have a press conference every day. He needs immediate gratification. They give him a Diet Coke button. He gets constant praise for nothing. Oh, you did so good. You're so, look how big you are. Your MRI is perfect. He takes nap time, often in the middle of a meeting. They order him McDonald's. He gets ice cream after dinner every night.
He didn't actually say sorry to Charlie Kirk or his family. And the reason that so many people, including me, were so upset with what Jimmy Kimmel said is that he accused Charlie Kirk's murderer of being a MAGA or a right-wing American. It wasn't a joke. It was straight up disinformation. And I really wish Jimmy Kimmel would apologize for it.
He literally ran away. Donald Trump ran away from California Governor Gavin Newsom when Newsom took a trip just now from California to Washington, D.C. to try to meet with Donald Trump to discuss the necessary emergency aid for the victims of the fires in Los Angeles, as Trump and the MAGA Republicans promised they would provide to Newsom for the victims of Los Angeles. So Newsom shows up to Washington, D.C. He's ready to go to the White House, and Donald Trump runs away. Donald Trump's like, I'm too scared to meet with you, Newsom. And Newsom's like, you're too scared to meet with me? He's afraid to meet with the governor of California to discuss these pressing matters?
You know what's honestly wild about all this? J.D. Vance really thought he could step into the ring with Jimmy Kimmel, drag Trump into it, and come out fine. Instead, it turned into pure late-night chaos. Trump completely lost it watching everything unfold, and what followed became instant TV gold that the internet still hasn't let go of. This wasn't just jokes flying around, it was savage comedy mixed with political meltdown, and Trump's reaction somehow made it even better. Trust me, once you see how this started, it all makes sense.
Is there tension? Is it natural? And how do you kind of calm things down there?
Yeah, Laura, I don't think that there's tension. There's certainly disagreement from time to time. We're not going to agree on every single issue within an administration, but the president has been very clear.
Seems to have worked, though. Trump praised the new Japanese prime minister as a winner. He said they've become very close friends, and he told reporters he has caught more shrimp in his mouth at Benihana than any president in history, which she was impressed by. And then they had a signing ceremony to seal the deal and declare a new golden age of U.S.-Japan relations. There you go.
Didn't he just meet with like the head of FIFA and got a fake peace prize? And wasn't he holding some weird award ceremony at the Kennedy Center? He's too afraid to meet with the governor of California to discuss emergency aid to victims of the fire, the same way that America always in the past has given necessary emergency aid to victims of natural disasters and other catastrophes. You're too afraid to meet. So Newsom's like, okay, well, can we meet with Kristi Noem, the head of the Homeland Security Department? No, she's too scared to meet.
When Kimmel came back from his summer break in September 2024, he wasted no time diving straight into the biggest headline: Trump choosing J.D. Vance as his running mate. He stared into the camera and dropped a line that instantly broke the room, saying J.D. Vance looked like someone asked AI to merge 2.5 men into one person. The crowd exploded because in one sentence he basically compared a vice presidential pick to a failed AI experiment that mashed together Charlie Sheen and John Cryer, and there was no coming back from that.
In some ways, you can't help but you kind of feel sympathy for J.D. Vance having to defend Donald Trump, who he himself openly denounced. It's kind of like being Diddy's defense attorney, you know?
Kristen, I think that I've learned my lesson on speaking for the president before he and I have actually talked about an issue.
So he would veto a federal abortion ban?
I think he would. He said that explicitly, that he would.
Okay, can I meet with the head of FEMA, whoever that is, because the last guy left and the guy before that left? Can we meet with FEMA? They don't want to meet with you. Can I meet with an aide at FEMA or the Department of Homeland Security or some staffer at the White House so that California can have a voice in Washington, D.C. from the governor's office about why we need emergency aid and why it should have been provided months ago? Nope, everyone is too scared to meet with you, Governor Newsom. So what does Governor Newsom do? He goes up to an office building or a hotel room nearby that overlooks the White House, and he starts taunting and mercilessly mocking Donald Trump and this pathetic regime. Newsom brings up the Epstein files. Newsom brings up how weak and pathetic Donald Trump looked when he got that fake peace prize.
That wasn't just a joke, it was a full comedy hit. And Kimmel kept going. He joked that Vance looked like the kind of guy who'd just sit there watching you sleep, then followed it up by saying if Trump lost the election, he'd probably sue his own son to take the junior title away. A month later, during the October 2024 vice presidential debate between J.D. Vance and Tim Walz, Kimmel saw the perfect opening and pointed out that it was the first VP debate since 2008 where the candidates would stand instead of sit.
Stay Puft Marshmallow Ankles was back home at the White House tonight handing out candy to children. One of the kids was dressed as, you can see him here on the right side, as a light-up marshmallow. And watch this, because this is something Trump has done in the past. Instead of putting candy in the bag, he puts it on the kid's head. J.D. Vance is crushing it when it comes to policy.
How will we lower the cost of daycare? It's such an important question, Charlie. And I think one of the things that we can do is make it easier for family models to choose, or for families to choose whatever model they want, right? So one of the ways that you might be able to relieve a little bit of pressure on people who are paying so much for daycare is make it so that maybe like grandma or grandpa wants to help.
Newsom's like, really? I'm here and you're too scared to meet with me? What a pathetic regime this is. I want to show you what went down in a moment. But first, I just want to remind you, hit subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're close to 6 million subscribers. You know we're under attack from the Trump regime and state regime media known as Fox. They want to shut us down. Donald Trump's MAGA supporters want to shut down. You may think you're subscribed to this channel, but you may not actually be subscribed. So double check, hit subscribe, help us get to 6 million subscribers. So Donald Trump goes up to this complex that overlooks the White House.
Kimmel didn't miss the chance to explain why, joking that maybe they were worried J.D. Vance would get distracted by a sexy office chair and start humping it. Everyone knew exactly what he was referencing, the couch jokes, and Kimmel had just put them on national television. Then he played a clip of Vance and calmly delivered one of those lines that sticks forever, saying he saw a man who seemed grounded, rational, and so human-like you could barely tell he wasn't one. That kind of roast doesn't fade, it follows you.
And when we run out of steam, we're going to oxen, big teams of beautiful oxen. He loves steam. And then he closed things out as only Donald Trump can.
Is there something wrong with speaking to world leaders?
First of all, yes. And second, yes, it's very wrong to have chats with dictators who are trying to exterminate our allies when you aren't the president anymore. Same reason you don't.
And he starts taunting Donald Trump. He conducts this incredible interview with my friend Jack Cocciarella. You probably know Jack. I worked with him starting, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and it's so great to see him doing such an amazing job. Shout out to Jack Cocciarella and his YouTube channel and all the great work he does. So Newsom goes up, and Newsom starts looking at the White House, and he's like, all right.
Things took a much darker turn in September 2025 when conservative activist Charlie Kirk was assassinated in Utah. Kimmel commented on how the MAGA crowd was desperately trying to paint the killer as anything other than one of their own. The reaction from the right was explosive. FCC Chairman Brendan Carr threatened ABC's broadcast licenses. Trump openly celebrated, and ABC responded by suspending Kimmel indefinitely, turning a late-night joke into a national free speech fight.
Trump's running mate, Maybelline brand ambassador J.D. Vance, he enjoys taking questions from the press at his appearances so the crowd can boo the reporters. I guess that's fun for him. So at a campaign stop in Detroit, a reporter asked him about these calls with Putin, and J.D. doesn't seem to have any problem with them at all.
Let's talk about the Epstein files and how Donald Trump mishandled that. Watch what Newsom says as he overlooks the White House. Here, play this clip.
And then when Elon Musk said he's in the files, I went, oh. And then all of a sudden Pam Bondi's like, what files? And Trump goes, why are we even talking about this? Like, whoa.
quite frankly, it was a hoax, is what he said.
Right? Yeah, and I'm like, now I got to pay attention. So I don't know I just don't trust them.
Yeah.
Do you trust the DOJ?
No.
Not to say we've just initiated another 35 investigations, so now we have to redact all that information per.
That's when J.D. Vance jumped in. He went on News Nation and tried to sound reasonable, saying the segment was, in some ways, kind-hearted, while never actually apologizing to Charlie Kirk or his family. Then he added the line he probably regrets most, claiming that if Kimmel wasn't back on air, it was because he wasn't funny and had terrible ratings, not because of government pressure. That terrible ratings comment didn't age well, especially since ABC brought Kimmel back in less than a week.
Vance celebrated his Zelensky sucker punch with a ski trip. The Vance traveled to the Sugarbush Resort, which coincidentally, Sugarbush is also J.D. Vance's Secret Service code name. But Vance, I think he picked the wrong state to relax him, because when he got to Vermont, he was greeted by hundreds of protests. Everyone but him is dumb. Everyone but him and this guy.
I wish that I could take you on our campaign plane and give you the perspective that I've gotten of this country in the past 7 weeks. This is the coolest, other than being a wife to this beautiful lady here and a father to our 3 kids, the greatest honor of my life has been running for this office.
What an unexpected delight this J.D. Vance has turned out to be.
The legislation that Congress had just passed, come on, you trust these guys for a damn second on this? I mean, this is a masterclass in effing something up.
And then Governor Newsom talks about how when he arrived in D.C., he met with senators and Congress members from both political parties, but he said Trump was the one who was too scared. FEMA was too scared. Kristi Noem was too scared. Watch what he says. Here, play this clip.
Here's what's remarkable. Came out to Washington, D.C., have met in a bipartisan manner with United States senators from both parties, which has been amazing. FEMA refuses even to have a staffer meet with the governor of the governor's office.
When Kimmel returned, the numbers told the real story. The comeback episode pulled in 6.2 million viewers and racked up more than 21 million views on YouTube. Massive numbers by any standard. Kimmel addressed Vance directly, replayed the clip of him mocking the ratings, looked into the camera, and casually said his ratings weren't great, adding that Vance's ratings were somewhere between finding a hair in your salad and catching chlamydia.
President Maybelline was making the rounds, attempting to defend his boss and the chairman of the FCC with a new fairy tale even a 5-year-old wouldn't believe.
Well, there are 2 things. First of all, I'd like them to tell me exactly what Brendan Carr did to have Jimmy Kimmel taken off the air, because number 1, he is currently on the air, and to the extent that he isn't in certain stations, it's because he's not funny and because his ratings aren't very good.
To talk about relief for the American people, we would have the backs within a nanosecond of the people in North Carolina, the folks that were torn asunder in the floods in Texas. But the politics, the rank politics, is likes of which we've never experienced in U.S. history.
So strange for Mike Johnson in his state of Louisiana to be the person who was initially playing politics with all of this.
I couldn't be more proud on behalf of my state to have had his back in his district of Louisiana and not even think twice about the fact that he voted a different way or represents a different point of view. When it comes to the universality of the human condition and people struggling and suffering, that's just...
The audience completely lost it. That wasn't a comeback, it was a public execution. Comparing J.D. Vance's approval ratings to an STD and a hair in your food instantly became legendary. And it didn't stop there. Vance had claimed that FCC Chairman Brendan Carr's threats were just jokes, so Kimmel called him out, pointing out that CNN literally had to fact-check Vance in real time because the claims were so blatantly false.
Didn't mean to interrupt your bullshit. Go on.
So I actually think that we should be having a conversation about whether these companies are serving the public interest. That's actually totally separate from the Jimmy Kimmel issue because nothing happened to him. He's currently on the air, and to the extent that he's not, it's because advertisers don't like him because his ratings aren't very good.
My ratings aren't very good. Last time I checked, your ratings were somewhere between a hair in your salad and chlamydia. In 3.5 years, I'm not the one who's going to be doing mascara tutorials on YouTube.
there's no room for politics. And again, it's the spirit to which I went to see the president on the tarmac. It's the spirit to which I went back to the Oval Office. It was right there. I think it was the first governor, Democratic governor, after he got elected again, to visit with him. It was 3 hours in the White House, 90 minutes in the Oval Office on this topic, among others. And it's an open hand, not a closed fist. But right now, they have no interest in engaging.
And then Governor Newsom just starts mocking Donald Trump while this is taking place by rolling out these memes. He posts this one right here. Why is he sitting like that? And I guess state regime media known as Fox was mocking the way that Governor Newsom sat during an interview at the New York Times deal memo conference.
Carr had gone on multiple interviews openly threatening ABC with license revocations. And that isn't a joke by any definition. It's government censorship. Vance tried to gaslight everyone by asking what government action had actually been taken to kick Kimmel off the air, confidently answering his own question with 0. Kimmel dismantled that lie live on television, making it painfully clear that the pressure was real and documented.
The Prime Minister then joined Trump at a rally aboard the USS Washington, where she got to hear him just rambling to our troops on a range of subjects, including magnets. He hates magnets. He hates magnets, windmills, and sharks. But he loves steam.
And Newsom shows that he's sitting right on Donald Trump as Trump is begging for mercy. Governor Newsom then posts that Newsom was awarded the inaugural Kohl's Peace Prize that comes with $50 in Kohl's cash. He then posts the following. Terrific night accepting the first ever Kennedy Center Peace Prize. Audience was amazing. Chairs not great, lighting disaster. Trump and janitor Rick Grinnell let the whole place go to hell. I told them as Trump dozed off,